Let me know because I'll. Oh, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's call is scheduled to begin momentarily. Until that time, your lines will again be placed on hold. Thank you for your patience.
What I'm hearing is that convention with you will be in September. At least that's the news that I've gotten. Obviously, it's not official or anything like that. Conference. Oh, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's call is scheduled to begin momentarily. Until that time, your lines will again be placed on a hold. Thank you for your patience.
Just kidding. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought Danny looked good. The guy. You know. Oh, here we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Carmen, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the Triple G Martirosyan conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. Mr. Sternberg, you may begin your conference.
Thanks so much. Well, guys, it's a pleasure. Good afternoon to the people in the United States, and good evening to those calling in from Europe. Boxing is alive and well on Cinco de Mayo, and for 3 big reasons. One of them is Gennady Golovkin, one is because of Vanes Martirosyan, and the third is because of promoter Tom Loeffler. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you, first of all, the promoter of the event, Tom Loeffler. Tom?
Thank you, Fred. Just everyone that's on the call, we're extremely excited about this promotion for Cinco de Mayo. We really, Triple G wanted to fight, and we were able to save the day for the boxing fans. This is one of the most unique situations and promotions I've ever been involved in. Having a venue change, going from pay-per-view to regular HBO. We have to give a lot of credit to Vanes Martirosyan and his team, Edmund from the Glendale Fighting Club, for not hesitating for 1 second taking this fight. We have to give a lot of credit to his promoter, Don King, for making this deal very quickly and realizing the opportunity for Vanes to challenge for Triple G's middleweight titles. Vanes is rated number 1 in the WBC. At junior middleweight, and he's moving up because of this tremendous opportunity. He was previously scheduled to fight Suleski, who gave Danny Jacobs all he wanted last Saturday night. We see that Jacobs, after going 12 rounds with Triple G, doesn't seem to have the same effect that he did when he blew out Peter Quillen. So we have to give Vanes a lot of credit. He was in training to fight Suleski. He was the favorite to beat Suleski. So we expect a tremendous performance, a tremendous challenge. And Triple G, if he's not 100% focused on May 5, there's no talk about any future fights. So we give the utmost respect to Vanes and his team.
Thank you, Tom. Vanes, welcome to the call. Welcome to the fight. Congratulations. How do you feel about all this?
I feel good. I also want to thank, Triple G and his team, Tom, for, choosing us and letting us, get this opportunity. We're very blessed, and we can't wait. I mean, this is what we dream about. I've always wanted these fights, and I'm just so excited and happy every day. I have a big smile on my face because, I get to show the world, where I belong in the sport. I finally get a guy that wants to fight and wants to come forward. Future fights, as soon as people tasted my power, they started, running away. They didn't want to engage. I'm just so happy that I get to. It's a perfect fight for Cinco de Mayo because there's going to be 2 guys coming head to head, and it's going to be a perfect show for the boxing fans and the whole world. They're going to enjoy this fight on the 5th.
Thank you, Vanes. As we proceed on the call, if you can just keep the phone closer to your mouth, you're kind of fading in and out. Operator, if you want to give instructions to the media on how to ask questions one last time, we'll open up the floor.
At this time, if you would like to ask a question, simply press star and the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, that is star and the number 1 on your telephone keypad.
While people are getting into queue, just a reminder that tomorrow we'll be doing media workouts at Wildcard West Boxing Club in Santa Monica with Cecilia Brackus, Callie Reese, Ryan Martin, and Bradis Prescott. That starts at 11:30 a.m. and should be a lot of fun. We hope you can join us if you're in the area.
All right, your first question comes from the line of Keith Eidick.
Yes, Vanes, how you doing? I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Vanes, how has it been for you the last couple of weeks or week and a half or so since you took the fight? There's obviously been some backlash about, Triple G's opponent, and you're a high-level guy who's competed, at the top level at junior middleweight your whole career. How much motivation has it provided for you maybe that people aren't giving you a chance in the fight or think that the fight shouldn't be happening or whatever?
I mean, we're in the gym every day at GFC, whether we're boxing or we're doing strength coach with Jesse Forbes. That's my strength guy. We're there every day. So when fights kept falling out, we just kept getting depressed. because we're getting happy to train for fights, and then fighters were pulling out. So as soon as we got information about, we might be Triple G's, next fight, we just got so excited and we're so happy to get to work. I mean, it's been so like nothing but happiness, and everything in camp has been going great. We went to Snacks for a week with Victor Conti, and we trained up there. We came back. I mean, everything is good. I mean, I have no excuses. People can say I took the fight on short notice or whatnot, but we're ready. I mean, you can wake me up in my sleep and I'll be ready to fight. I've been doing this at 7 years old. So we've been waiting for this opportunity, and we're just very happy that, Tom Lawfier and Triple G, they accepted this also, and so did we, and we can put on a show on the 5th.
How much did that help you, obviously, in this case, Vanis, that you stayed in the gym? Because a lot of fighters say that they do that, but they actually don't, and you did. So how long have you been in the gym training on and off, for fights that fell through? And how happy are you that you were able to do that?
I mean, we were supposed to fight June, I believe, and then it was April, and then it was March, and then March 17, I believe, I was supposed to fight Salaki. He pulled out, and then they told me I'm fighting March 29th or something like that, and then they told me you're fighting April 9th, and then guys just kept falling out. So we just stayed in the gym. I mean, when we got the call for the fight, they asked me if I could be 176, I believe, by Thursday or Friday. I weighed in, at like 75, 70, 74 that day when they asked me. And then on the 1 week before the fight, we just came in at 67. So we were in shape. We're good to go. We always, my trainer Edmund always tells me, fight or no fight, stay in the gym and stay sharp. It doesn't matter if you have a fight, you don't have a fight. You know what I mean? So I know that fighters, when they don't got fights, they just stay home and they just chill until they get the call to go in the gym, especially if you've been doing it for such a long time. You just get tired of training. But the good thing about my team is that fight or no fight, even if you got to be in the gym for 30, 40 minutes, even if you got to come and watch sparring or do anything, we're always in the gym. We're always around boxing. So we're just very happy to get the call, and we're ready to go on the 5th.
Vanis, I just wanted to make sure I have it clear. So you had to be 176. What was that? The day after the fight was announced, basically? Is that when that was?
I'm not sure when, but I think they asked me, like, are you 176? And I was like, I'm 176 right now, but they needed me to be 176 a few days later. But I was already on weight when they asked me for the fight. So we stepped on the scale. It was like a 30-day something. I don't know what the WBC weigh-ins, how they have that, scheduled. I don't know what that was, but at first you had to be 176. I made that, and then last week I made 167. So, I mean, the weight's been good. Everything's been good.
Just to clarify, Keith, just to clarify, that was the WBC 30-day weigh-in requirement of maximum 176 pounds. It was actually less than 30 days when Vanis had signed the agreement and finalized. So I think it was literally 2 days after it was signed, he got on the scale and was under that weight.
So I think it's like 10% at 30 days, and then within 5% of the week out. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks for clearing that, Tom.
Your next question comes from the line of James Slater.
Hi, this is a question for Mr. Loeffler. How are you doing, sir? Was there ever any close stage where you considered, regarding everything that's gone ahead, everything that's come to pass? Were you ever close to thinking, like, we'll forget this, we just won't fight on May 5th? And was Gennady ever frustrated to the extent where he considered thinking, we'll just wait until September, hopefully for the Canelo rematch?
James, I have to say there was probably 4 different occasions where I thought we couldn't save the May 5 date. I mean, it was really because of Gennady was insistent on fighting May 5. He felt just because Canelo wasn't available or was suspended that there's no reason why he shouldn't fight. And then, there was kind of a long litany of different things that happened from the date of May 5 being released at a very late stage up in Las Vegas for us to request the new date, moving from T-Mobile to MGM, and then MGM literally a day or two later saying, look, Tom, this is too late of a date to effectively promote a fight at this, at the big arena at the MGM Grand, and we literally didn't have a signed agreement with opponent at that time. There was, a number of names that we went through, and that's why, again, I can't compliment Vanes and his team enough for literally, had he not signed the contract on, I think it was either 2 or 3 days, HBO would have said this is too late for us now to effectively market and promote a fight on HBO. And just to clarify, Vanes is the number 1 rated contender in the WBC, and there's a reason. Some people point to that he hasn't fought for 2 years, but he was ready, willing, and able. I think it was 3 different fights that fell out from what Don King had chronicled, and he was ready to fight, and the opponents had pulled out, just like we just discussed with Selesky. So Vanes was ready. It solved his issue of being the leading available contender at junior middleweight, and also, he's local here in Los Angeles. He has a huge support from the Armenian community here in Los Angeles, and has been very effective in doing interviews. And how many champions do you know that actually go to the Challengers gym? That's how much respect Triple G has for Vanes and his trainer Edmund, that we actually went to Vanes' gym to do the official media training, and that just there's a lot of respect on both sides, and this was really saved by HBO agreeing to show this fight. It's a historic moment for Cecilia Brækhus, being the first female boxer on the show, and we just think it's going to be a great weekend all the way around for the fans, both at StubHub and on HBO.
All right, absolutely. And obviously knowing Gennady as well as you do, you've been with him so many years now. You said he's gone to the other gym and everything. Is there any concerns at all about him maybe being frustrated and maybe getting out of his game plan at all? Or do you feel as though he's as professional and as focused as you would wish?
This is a very unique situation, not only on the promotional side, but on the training side. Luckily, Abel runs a very professional, strict training camp. Gennady's very disciplined. It was really the late nights on my side, worrying and trying to figure out a solution to how we're going to save this date. Gennady just kept training. He kept sparring. He's focused, but he was very frustrated when the positive test first was announced by Canelo. He was extremely frustrated, disappointed, when people, blame different entities for why this fight wasn't happening in Las Vegas. It's Gennady really is the party that's the most affected by this, because he had been training for the biggest fight literally in the sport of boxing, and then it was this big shockwave that came with the test. But he's a professional. He wants to fight. If he's successful on Saturday, he'll tie the middleweight championship record that Bernard Hopkins set at 20 defenses, and it's a very momentous occasion for his career. At the same time, giving Vanes a huge opportunity. This is one of the biggest platforms that Vanes could be performing in the ring on HBO against arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. And so this is a huge boost for Vanes' career as well, going from someone who's extremely frustrated, not getting a fight for over 2 years, now being thrust on the biggest stage. It's in his hometown, no less. It was the solution to save the Cinco de Mayo date for the fans.
Right, and just real quickly, Tom, providing Gennady gets the victory on May 5th, do you personally feel the Canelo rematch will happen in September?
That's hard to project. Everyone on our side is focused on May 5. Whatever happens after that, I'll tell you one thing: if Triple G is not successful on May 5, then there's no talk of a Canelo rematch. There's no talk of mandatories, and Vanes is elevated instantaneously to the top of the sport of boxing. So, nobody is overlooking this fight. This is a very dangerous fight. Everyone on the West Coast that's familiar with Vanes and what he's accomplished, Triple G knew Vanes very well from the amateurs. They were in the Olympics together in 2004. Triple G had tabbed Vanes to be the best representative from the U.S. on that Olympic team. And so nobody on our side, anyone that's familiar with Vanes' career, he had a draw with Lara. He had a very controversial loss at Charlo. He dropped Andrade in the first round. I mean, all world-class fighters. And this is a huge opportunity for someone that's as hungry and motivated as Vanes, this is a huge opportunity for him, and that's why nobody can overlook this fight coming up on Saturday.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to a really good fight on May 5th. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, James.
Your next question comes from the line of Sean Cross.
Hi, how are you? This is a question for Vanes. How are you, sir? Good talking to you. Just out of curiosity, how did you have to tweak your training for Triple G for this fight? Obviously, you said you've been keeping in shape, you've been training, but this time you had to pretty much, alter your camp just for Triple G. What kind of changes did you make, knowing the challenges you are about to face now?
I mean, when I said, Edmund Tarverdyan is my head trainer, and we've been training for fights. So when we got the fight, all we had to do is, I go to Snack in San Carlos. That's where Danny Jacobs was also when he got ready for Triple G. That's where he held his camp too. So we went there for about a week and a half. We did training up there with the high altitude and the hypoxia training and stuff, and then we came back down here. Jesse Forbes, great strength conditioning coach. So we just got ready for Golovkin. We're fighters, and styles do make fights, and I think that Triple G style and my style fit very well. I just want to see where I belong in the sport. I never had an opportunity to show. I can honestly say, I promise you guys that this is the first time in my life, in my camps, that I've been so happy with my trainers, with my strength trainers. Everybody's working together. Nobody's arguing about nothing. No one's trying to take control over everything. The good thing about Edmund, he's like a friend, like a brother, we're family. And so it's always good when, when you see just like how Gennady is with Abel and his team with Tom, they're a class act. And finally, first time in my life, everybody's just so classy and everybody's together, working together, rather than people trying to take control over things and trying to overthink things. So everything's been working good, and right now, I'm in the gym right now, sweating my butt off. I just got done the training with Jesse, and that's why I was a little bit late. I apologize for that. And we're just ready to go, guys. And I also just want to say one thing about Tom and Golovkin and his camp, man. This is the first time in my life that I've seen, gentlemen, everything's been so classy. With everything, with the promotion, the way we talk to each other, the press and everybody, it's not like cursing and trying to, build the fight. Everybody knows how big this fight is for me, for Triple G. He's going for a record, and, I'm also going for a record too, man, to beat the baddest man on the planet. You know what I mean? It's just so blessing. Just the thought of that alone, it's amazing. And we just can't wait, honestly.
All right, thank you very much, and all the best.
Want to let everyone know that Edmund Tarverdyan is also with Vanes. Any question for Edmund, who's Vanes' trainer? He's also well known as Ronda Rousey's trainer. They train at the same gym, and from my understanding, Ronda is going to come to the event on Saturday to support the fight. Chris Cyborg is supposed to come to support or to see Cecilia Brecus there. So it's going to be a lot of stars coming out from the LA area. So any questions for Edmund? He's also with Vanes on the phone.
We have time for a few more questions, operator.
All right, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your next question comes from the line of Gail Falkenthal.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much. Vanes, when your big fan base in Glendale found out about this fight, what was their reaction? What did you hear from the people who've been following you for years and years in the community?
All my fans in Glendale were so excited, but also I gotta say something also. Most of my fans are also Triple G fans, and so when they found
including
out,
your wife.
I'm fine. Well, my wife. I gotta talk about that. People take words and they twisted it when I talked about my wife liking Triple G, is because this is exactly how it happened. There's the video of it too. When we were watching fights about 2 weeks ago, when I asked my wife, who do you like besides me? Just a weird question. I didn't even know I was getting the Triple G fight. This was 4 or 5 weeks ago. So she's like, you obviously, there's nobody else. And I was like, no, you have to pick one. And so my wife is actual Asian. So she's like, I like the Korean guy. And I didn't know who she was talking about. And so she said, the guy is so nice to people. And I was like, oh, that's right. Triple G is half, I think he's half Asian also, Korean or whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. So that's how that started, that she likes the way that he's a gentleman also. So that's how that happened. But I forgot about the question again. Can you ask?
The question was the reaction.
Then
Scared away because that pisses me off. That people say that my wife's favorite fighter is Triple G, and I get really upset at that. But what she meant was, like besides me, she likes fighters that are humble like that. So she liked Triple G after me. So yeah, that's the answer to that. But go ahead. Can you ask me that question again, please?
And the reaction from all your crowd in Glendale who's been fighting you for so long, hearing that you got this fight.
I get messages from my fans saying that, we're Triple G fans, but, we're supporting you for this fight. You know what I mean? But, they love Triple G also. All the Armenians, they're big fans of Triple G. My trainer, I'm also a fan of Triple G also if I wasn't fighting the guy. The guy's a killer. He's a good fighter. And, he's a good fighter, and people respect that. What I respect most about him is that the fact that he's a clean fighter, and he does everything straight. He doesn't try to dodge anything, and he's proven to be a clean fighter and also a gentleman. He goes in there, he does his job, and he gets out of there. There's no yelling and hollering that I'm the baddest man in the world. Actions speak louder than words, and it's clear that the man has proven that.
Thank you very much. Tom, I'd like to ask you how ticket sales are going.
Ticket sales are going well. In fact, we have the bleachers set up. We added... we released some $100 tickets that had been sold out previously, that category. So the ticket sales are going very good. We expect, Triple G had broken or set the ticket sales record at StubHub. So we expect with the popularity of Vanes and his fan base here in Los Angeles that we're going to break that record, and we're going to have a full house on May 5.
And are those $100 seats open today now, still available?
They were just opened today, so it's Fight Week special. We released the $100 ticket. We added some $100 tickets, and the floor is pretty much all sold out in the second price category, but there are some seats available. I mean, StubHub, there's no bad seat literally in the StubHub Center, even in the bleachers. It's so close to the ring that for a $200 ticket you can have an excellent seat in the mid-level bowl. So it's we expect a great crowd. Everyone will be celebrating on Cinco de Mayo. There's a Tecate Fan Fest that goes from 3 to 7 p.m. HBO starts at 8 p.m. LA time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So it's going to be, we have a tremendous undercard, which will be announced officially today. So it's going to be, we're just looking forward to a great weekend for the Southern California fight fans.
Well, it's kind of hard to imagine that place being any crazier than it was when Triple G fought Rubio, but we'll give it a shot. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gail.
Okay, your next question comes from the line of Keith Eidick.
I guess my question is for Edmund. Edmund, obviously you're confident that Vanes is going to win the fight. Can you tell us why he'll beat Triple G on Saturday?
Well, I'm not going to give too much away why Vanes is going to beat Triple G, but, I've trained fighters, boxers before Vanes also, like Victor Archinian and all those guys. And I've done camps with GGG, I went up and Abel Sanchez was so nice to me, and I took Ronda Rousey up there to do a few camps, and I watched GGG spar. So I think from inside information, a person that knows Gennady best, I actually followed his career before he turned a pro athlete, before he made it. He came to the United States, and I was telling Dana White and all those guys, hey, there's a good fighter out there that you guys should watch. And then Dana became a fan of this. So I took Ronda out there, and we did, we went up there twice, and we did some camp, good training. And Abel was so nice to us, gave us a key to the gym. So I'm real thankful. But I got to see Gennady train, and I trained with him and Ronda. And, I got a good look at him sparring. So I understand him very well. I know what it takes to beat him, but it's not an easy puzzle to solve. You know, he's a great fighter. And Vanes, sorry about that. And Vanes is ready. You know, Vanes' movement speed, you know, is he's quicker than Gennady. You know, he's younger, hungrier. And that night he's going to show his skills. You know, Vanes moves very well, and people that count him out shouldn't be doing that, because if you know boxing, you have Amir Khan that doesn't have a chin fight somebody like Canelo, gives Canelo a hard time until he gets caught. You know, and I believe one of the scorecards, Amir was ahead on that. And then Canelo gives Gennady a good fight. I believe he lost. Gennady did beat him, but with his jab only. You know, and his jab was effective. That's why you could give Gennady that fight with Canelo. But then, like I said, you have Amir against Canelo, and Amir is ahead on one of the scorecards. And Amir started at lightweight, 135. Vanes is a big 154-pounder, and Gennady is a small 160-pounder. Everybody saw that. He made weight last 2 days ago at 162, and Vanes was bigger than him. So, you know, I'm very confident in Vanes, and we're going to have a great night.
Thank you, Edmund. I have another question for Vanes. Vanes, can you tell us, without giving away anything from your game plan or anything like that, why you'll win on Saturday night?
The hunger, you know, being out of the ring for so long, missing the sport so much. I love boxing with all my heart. And all we do every day is just wake up in the morning, go online, read boxing news. So just picture me just sitting and just hoping and waiting for this opportunity. And I can honestly say this will be the best version of me. You know, a lot of people, you know, see me as, you know, my nickname Nightmare, and they don't really know how I got that name. That name was not, I didn't pick that name. That name was given to me when I fought Timothy Bradley. I'm the last guy he lost to before he turned professional. I beat Austin Trout 3 times. I beat Andre Berto. And that name was given to me by the fans. They were like, we don't know who this kid is. He's like a nightmare. So one of my fights, somebody just yelled, the Armenian Nightmare, through the crowd. And that's how that name stuck with me. So this fight's going to be a nightmare, you know. I mean, we're trying to break our records. Triple G's trying to break a record. The Stubub's going to break a record. And I'm going to try to break a record, too, by becoming the middleweight champion of the world, you know, for my Armenians and for the fans. So it's going to be a great fight.
There'll be no running, Keith. There'll be no running on Cinco de Mayo. Both of these guys are going to be coming forward. The fans are going to get a great show. It's going to be a lot of fireworks in the ring. I know Edmund doesn't train Vanes to be defensive or to run around the ring like we've seen some of Triple G's opponents in the past. And I think both guys are going to put on a tremendous show for the fans.
Thank you, Tom.
I also wanted to say that I feel like most of Triple G's opponents, when they got into the ring, they were already lost because they already thought about the power. They thought about, you know, they were already scared before they got into the ring. So they fought defensive. So until, you know, if they land a couple, they just get excited when they land. But the thing is, I feel like most of the opponents, you know, because the guy's a monster, everybody knows the guy hits really hard. But so they got into the ring scared. I don't get into the ring scared, you know. I'm going to go in there and just do my thing and have fun, you know, and just see where I belong in the sport and see what this man is about. You know what I mean? I'm all about that. I never turn down fights. If you look at my last 5 fights, it's been Andrade, Ishe Smith, Jermel Charlo, Lara, Alberto Lorenzo. So those are my last 5 fights. I don't back down from fights. I take all fights, and then this is another one, and then people are going to see the best of me.
Great. Vanes, I just have one last question for you. You're coming up in weight from junior middleweight, but you're actually bigger than Triple G. You're taller than Triple G, and you know, maybe might even be heavier in the ring, or probably will be. How do you view that, and do you consider that an advantage that you'll actually be the bigger guy in the ring?
I mean, I always fought better at higher weight classes. I mean, whenever there was a catch weight in my career, I always did better. So I think it's going to be good because, you know, I don't have to kill myself to make 54. I remember when I fought Lara, the day before the weigh-in, I was 162. I had to cut 8 pounds to make 154. This was 24 hours before the weigh-in. So I kind of had trouble making 54 sometimes, but I made it easy, no problem, because, you know, the struggle is like that for all fighters. for a short camp like this is perfect. You know what I mean? The weight's good and everything is good, and we just can't wait to rock and roll. I'll be stronger at 60. As you said, I might be bigger. I don't know. You know what I mean? But we're good, man. I think 160 is a good weight class for me, and then we're going to be there for a while, I think.
Great. Thanks again, guys.
Okay, we're going to wrap up this portion of the call. We've got Gennady calling in right now. So, Vanis, and Edmund, any final comments before we switch over?
No, nothing. I want to thank Tom and Gennady and Coach Abel also for this opportunity. They've been great to us, and also Don King, Vanis's promoter. And thanks all you guys also for doing all these interviews. Thank you.
Yes, and I thank you guys also for for taking the time for the media, for the interviews. Fred, you've been great, brother. Thank you so much. Tom, thank you so much for the opportunity. HBO, thank you. Don King, thank you. Thank you guys for everything. Saturday, like Tom said, there's no bad seat in the house. I've been there when I fought Bradley, Provodnikov, Alvarado, when he fought Brandon Rios fought Mike Alvarado. It was a good show. So the StubHub Center is the best place for boxing, and it's good for my fans, and there's no bad seat in the house. So I hope everybody comes out. Big drama show.
Well said. Well, you two are exactly what makes boxing so great. Thanks for joining the call. We'll see you Wednesday at the press conference.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, hold on, everybody. We've got Gennady. We've got Abel Sanchez calling in right now. You guys on yet?
Yes, we are.
Abel, thank you for postponing your nap for being on this call.
You're funny, man.
Yes, the time.
Gennady, welcome.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning.
Well, I guess the question is, did you ever have any doubts that this fight was actually going to happen? Because it's here.
No. I feel very comfortable, just I'm at Tom. I tell him, just Tom, please give me fight for May 5th, for big Cinco de Mayo day. That's it.
Well, at least Tom got that done. Operator, why don't we open up remind people how to ask questions, and we'll open the queue up for questions from the media.
And if there are any questions at this time, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, that is star and the number 1 on your telephone keypad.
Just an alert to the media on this call. We do have a translator on here just to help out with Russian-speaking media who are listening in and maybe asking questions. So there might be a slight delay in responses from Gennady. So nothing wrong with your phones.
All right, your first question comes from the line of Dan Raphael.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for taking the time, Abel and Gennady. Appreciate it. Gennady, I would like to ask you, because kind of lost in the hoopla of this fight being put together on late notice, is the fact, as Tom mentioned when Vanis was speaking, if you win this fight, you will tie the middleweight championship defense record at 20 that Bernard Hopkins set about 10 years ago. I would like your thoughts now that it is upon you, what it would mean to you to tie that record. In the long history of boxing, you would only be the second person to ever get 20 in a row.
Dan, good morning. Just,
Morning.
I think a lot, just, I feel like a star, like a star, because, just, if you check Bernard's, opponents, probably you understand just my record is much bigger, is much stronger, bigger. This is a good situation for me and for my career and for my fans, of course. That's it.
And just what would it mean to you?
For me?
Yeah.
Numbers, only numbers.
Do you have a goal to, after this fight, if you win, to break that record and get 21, be it against Canelo or somebody else?
Oh, this is the second question. This is a new story. Right now my focus on this fight. Just maybe why not? I want to say activity. Maybe.
Dan, I think it's bigger for everyone. again, it's bigger for everyone on the team. Like Abel Sanchez, myself, we understand the historic perspective of what Gennady has accomplished in his career and could potentially accomplish on Saturday, and if he's successful, potentially in another title defense. But Gennady, like I said, he just wanted to fight. He told me, get a fight. He didn't care who, he didn't care where. He said, just I want to fight on Cinco de Mayo, and that was my job. He's just focused on his training. He's focused on winning on Saturday, and anything else that comes after that is, what he feels that the fans and the media will write about his career.
Okay, fair point. I would like to then have your perspective, have Gennady's perspective on that. Abel, hello, are you there? Are you there also?
I'm here.
Hey, Abel, you watch him in the gym every day, and you've been with him for many years and been through a lot of title defenses with him. What do you think it means to see him in the hallowed history of the middleweight division go for 20 in a row, which would tie the record? There's not a record that's broken every day or tied every day.
No, I think it's great for his history, for boxing history. If you look at his record, he hasn't had any rematches in there, so everybody that he's fought has been a new opponent. The great Bernard Hopkins had fought twice against Antoine Eccles and 3 times against Robert Allen. So we're fighting new guys every time. I think by tying and hopefully if he decides to stay at middleweight or decides to stick around, breaking the record in the future, it's great for boxing history. It's good for historians to look back upon this.
I'd also like to know from you, Abel, since you're with him at Daily, what has been, in your opinion, the sort of outlook that Triple G has had going to this fight, knowing that there's obviously disappointment that he was not able to get in the ring with Canelo through no fault of his own, and having to take on an opponent like Vanes, certainly been a good fighter, but in a weight class down, and certainly not the name recognition or the notoriety of a Canelo Alvarez. Have you noticed any difference in the way he approaches his training at all?
Well, the disappointment was only for about a couple hours. We got back right into the gym and continued to work. But you have to understand, this opponent here was training to fight Saluki, who just fought Daniel Jacobs and gave Daniel Jacobs a very difficult fight. Those 2 guys were set to fight each other in the near future, and Zaleski decided to fight Jacobs, and Vanes is fighting us. But these guys were in the gym. These 2 fighters, 2 very good fighters. Vanes is number 1 in WBC that he hasn't fought in a couple of years. Maybe tells you that nobody wants to fight him because he's too much of a threat. And Saluski fought Jacobs and gave Jacobs all he could handle. So I think that we're fighting a guy that is not only rated highly, but has only 3 losses against elite fighters at 154. So if he gives us the kind of fight that Saluski gave Danny Jacobs, then we're all going to be treated to a great night.
All right, very good. I just have one more question for Triple G. Gennady, you have the 3 belts, but obviously the IBF belt, they put out a resolution a couple days ago saying that they would allow you to keep the belt for this fight, but as long as you agreed to fight your mandatory in the next fight. I'm wondering if you've made a decision about whether you'll sign that agreement or not.
Dan, I'll just jump in on that one. The
I
IBF
figure you would, Tom.
Yeah, the IBF did grant our request for an exception, so they approved our request. We're in the process of clarifying some of those conditions because there was some uncertainty on those. So we're dealing with that on our side, and Gennady and Abel are just completely focused on Vanes in the ring for Saturday.
All right, very good. Thank you, everybody. I'll look forward to seeing you in LA later in the week. Thank you.
Thanks,
Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Next question.
And your next question comes from the line of James Slater.
Hello, Gennady. Looking forward to a great fight on Saturday. As you know, Vanes Martirosyan has never been stopped, and you've gone 12 rounds in your last 2 fights. Will you be disappointed if you don't get a knockout in this fight? Is that what you're aiming for, a stoppage?
Good morning. This is boxing. Nobody knows. If he give me a chance to stop him, I stop him. If not, it's not. This is boxing. Just one punch change, not change fight, just change life.
Okay, and ideally, I know you're not looking past this fight in any way, but after all that's gone on, how soon after this fight would you like to fight again?
For me, it doesn't matter. Just maybe after this fight, we'll look situation.
our situation, boxing situation, middleweight division. I know my second step is much better for boxing and for us. Okay, well, best wishes for the fight on Saturday. Thanks very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, your next question comes from the line of William Trillo.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Abel, I'll direct this towards you. In light of everything that went on, how important was it for you to keep Gennady active and have him fight on this day, regardless if it was Giannis or Canelo?
Well, first of all, we've already been in the gym. When we got the news, we'd already been in the gym for about a month. So I didn't want to waste that month. And when Tom sat down with myself and Gennady and promised us that he would try to keep the fifth together and get us a fight, he promised me that it would be a right-hander. So we continued to work like as if we were going to fight Canelo. We continued to stay focused as if we were going to fight Canelo. We knew it was going to be a right-hander. We knew it was going to be an elite fighter. We knew it was going to be somebody at the top. So this guy's a little bit taller than Canelo, but he's still an elite fighter. So we have to stay focused and not to lose that concentration in training to be prepared for the fifth.
Right. And your thinking was it was better to fight on this date as opposed to keeping him on the shelf and maybe wait until September or whenever another fight would come up.
You know, the fans for the longest time have been asking for his activity like it used to be. It used to be we'd fight 3 or 4 times a year, and the fans got a chance to see him, whether it be at the StubHub or whether it be overseas. And the question that I get from a lot of the fans is that why isn't he fighting often like he was before? We wanted to make sure that we didn't have that 2 fights a year like we've been having the last couple of years, and Gennady made sure that Tom understood that he wants to keep that kind of schedule. Obviously, we're concentrating on the 5th, but hopefully we fight in September, and hopefully we fight in December of this year. That way the fans get to see him more. He just turned 36 on April the 8th, so we may not have him for that many more years, so let's enjoy as many fights as we can for as long as we can.
Okay. Tom, if you don't mind briefly, I know a lot of times fans don't understand the logistics of going from HBO pay-per-view to HBO. Can you just briefly tell us how you juggled that?
It wasn't easy, William. HBO has a very packed schedule of premium programming on their schedule, and everyone was planning on an HBO pay-per-view fight. There wasn't boxing slated on the HBO network for May 5, and going off the pay-per-view platform, then we had to create a slot for the boxing on HBO network. We give a lot of thanks to Peter Nelson for supporting Triple G and his desire to continue to fight on that date on May 5. The easiest thing for HBO would have been to say, well, let's postpone it by a month and we'll put him on sometime in June or July. But then that totally messes up Gennady's schedule, as Abel said, and both from a training standpoint and then, having turned 36, he wants to get in the ring as soon as possible and as often as possible. That's the one thing, he's a unified champion. He has a lot of mandatory responsibilities, but he's normally one of the most active champions in the sport of boxing. When you get bogged down with, a mandatory like Danny Jacobs, it took over 3 months, almost 4 months to negotiate that fight. Everything got pushed back, from a December date to a March date. Then you have negotiations with Canelo. Those were extended, and then the rematch with Canelo. So, it was up to Gennady and his schedule. He would be fighting 3-4 times a year because he just likes to fight. He likes to train. He likes to fight. He doesn't mind the sacrifices because he knows, boxing can always be a short window. As he said today on an interview on the Jim Rome show, he said, one punch can change your career, one punch can change your life. And you don't know when's your last fight. You don't know when's your opponent's last fight. You don't know. And boxing is that kind of a sport. And, that's why, as Abel said, I think we need to appreciate him as much as we can for as long as he puts on his big drama show in front of the fans. I think he's the most entertaining fighter in the sport of boxing today. He always trains to put on a show for the fans, even if that means, taking punches that most fighters wouldn't take. But in order to get the knockout, or at least to put on a dominant performance, Gennady is willing to go that extra mile to do that for the fans, and that's why the fans. He sold out his last 8 arenas that he's fought at all over the world, and the fans love to see him fight. It's a huge opportunity now for the HBO subscribers to see him on the regular HBO network. Most fighters, once they make the successful transition to HBO pay-per-view, they don't go back. And having sold over 1 million buys in the last fight against Canelo, setting the record for the 3rd highest gate in boxing history, having the fight at the StubHub Center on HBO, this is really a Cinco de Mayo present for the boxing fans to come out and to see a great fight between Triple G and Vanes, between Cecilia Brake, who's breaking the record to be or the glass ceiling really, to first female bout on HBO. Tremendous undercard fights. It's going to be a great weekend, Will.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Abel, excuse me 1 second. Abel, just how important is activity in the success of Gennady's career?
I think the activity is more, not so much for his career, but just for fan appreciation. I think he's gotten to the point now where he's an established star, and the fans miss the fact that they can see him. To be able to see him in a scenario like the StubHub, in an arena that every seat is a great seat, and then to be on regular HBO, I think it's a present, like Tom said, for the fans for Cinco de Mayo, and hopefully we can do it Cinco de Mayo next year and in September, and that way the fans can continue to watch this star for another 2-3 years.
Thank you. I'm sorry, operator. Go ahead.
And your next question comes from the line of Destino Lewis Jr.
Yes, thank you. Abel Sanchez, mi amigo, how are you, sir?
Great, how are you?
Okay, my question is, knowing that you and Gennady have been like a father and son, big brother, small brother, and you bonded together like a one total family, how difficult or emotional was it when Canelo pulled, this happened, and here Triple G is preparing to the rematch, knowing that there was a lot of controversy in the first fight, and I feel fortunate and good for him that at least it wound up a draw, even though I personally felt that Triple G won. And here, preparing to redeem himself against Canelo, who has been talking about the fact that, oh yes, I now know how to beat Triple G. I learned it in the last fight. And now all this gets to you when you prepare knowing the enemy. But now all of a sudden, this occurred. And how high was he when this happened, and now you had to sort of him and make sure that he stayed on the regular track to prepare for whoever?
Well, the greatest thing about working with an athlete that has the amateur pedigree, first of all, and the schooling of the Kazakh system, so he's so professional that it's actually easy to separate the gym, the fight, and our personal life. Yes, we have bonded, but we have to be very professional when we're preparing him, and very professional when we're taking him to the ring, when we're doing the things in an actual fight. If we start allowing emotion to get in the way, that's when we start to make mistakes. Not only for the coaches, but for the fighters too. We have to make sure that we treat this as a sport, and we have to make sure that we treat this in a manner that we have to prepare to be able to be the best we can be on that night. The emotion is after, and the emotion is when we're not in training camp. Yes, we have bonded very well, but it is my job to make sure that I look out for his best interests, and that means not being an emotional coach.
All right, your next question comes from the line of Carlos Toro.
Hello, good afternoon. First of all, first question to Tom. How important was it to sort of, when you're building this effort together and you have Cecilia Brækhus, be a part of this television card? Obviously, first time HBO has held a women's boxing match there. Then how do you think this will be a chance for other women's boxing fights to be on HBO or for Cecilia Brækhus to, be a bigger star in the United States and fight more on the network?
Well, I think it's a huge opportunity, not only for Cecilia, but for women's boxing. But just to back up a few steps, originally it was going to be Chocolatito as the co-feature with Triple G. It's one of the best combinations that we've ever had in boxing, having such an exciting, dramatic fighter from the lower divisions, really a pioneer for the flyweight, super flyweight divisions, really someone that's responsible for opening the door for the super flyweights and creating the super flyweight series, the Superfly series that we've done in collaboration with HBO. Unfortunately, Chocolatito wasn't able to get his visa in time. There was political unrest in Nicaragua, unfortunately, and when he was supposed to get his visa last week, we got an email from his manager, Carlos Blandon, saying it was impossible to get the visa in order for him to be here in Los Angeles this fight week. So that misfortune for Chocolatito actually opened up the door for Cecilia Brækhus. She was always going to be on the show. She was originally scheduled to be on the show on the undercard with the pay-per-view up in Las Vegas, and it really fit a lot better for a time slot because her primary revenue is from the Norwegian TV. She sells out 10,000-seat arenas in Norway. She has huge TV ratings over there. She's the only undisputed champion in the sport of boxing. I always say that she's the only boxer in boxing that has one more belt than Triple G has. And, it's ironic that Edmund is training Vanes because the UFC also told Ronda Rousey that there's never going to be a female competitions or female bouts in the UFC. And then, Dana White allowed Ronda, into the octagon, and famously she became the UFC's biggest star. I really think that Cecilia has that personality, that dominance in the ring. She's undefeated. She's undisputed. And she's fighting a very tough customer with Callie Reese. Callie Reese is a former middleweight champion. She's coming all the way down from middleweight to welterweight to challenge Cecilia for all of her titles, and realizes this is such a big stage for her to be on a Triple G show that this should really open up a tremendous amount of publicity for Cecilia over here in the United States, and and break down the doors for women's boxing to be on HBO.
Thanks.
And your next question comes from the line of Keith Idec.
Yes, my question is for Abel. Abel, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Keith.
Abel, could you break down Martirosyan for us, just, without giving anything away about the game plan or anything, just what he does well, maybe what some of his weaknesses are?
Well, in looking at some of the tapes and watching some of the fights that he's had, obviously we follow him because I have other fighters at 154. But the strange part about Gennady is that everybody that fights Gennady has to adapt to what Gennady does. So no matter what Vanes has done in the past to other fighters, he won't be able to do that against Gennady. He's going to have to adapt to what Gennady is going to bring to the ring. He will never be the same after this fight, just like none of the other fighters that Gennady's ever fought are the same after this fight. Jacobs looked terrible in his last fight. Why? I think it's he went 12 rounds with Golovkin. So to break down a game plan, I think that my philosophy has always been that I prepare my guys to be the best they can be, and the other guys are going to have to adapt to them. Obviously, we know that he has a very good right hand. Obviously, we know that he's taller than Gennady. Obviously, we know that he's going to be probably a little bit faster at the beginning because he is a junior middleweight coming up. But he has decent punching power. But whatever he tries to do, as far as if I start to formulate something like a thought of what he's going to bring to the table, is going to change as soon as he gets hit with the first shot, just like it changed with Canelo and just like it changed with previous opponents that Gennady's faced. So we're looking for the elite fighter that Vanes is, but we're going to take it to him, and if he comes forward, the fans are going to be treated to a great fight. It's not a matter of giving away the game plan because it's a matter of what Vanes is willing to expose and to put himself through in a fight.
Abel, have you been surprised because he's only lost to guys at the top level? Have you been surprised by some of the backlash about him being the opponent because he's a pretty good fighter?
I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised because Vanes was supposed to fight the guy that just fought Jacobs last night, or night before last, and he gave Jacobs all he could handle. Jacobs is probably one of the top 3 middleweights in the world, and Saluski hit him with shots that maybe he shouldn't have hit him with. But when people are complaining or people are bad-mouthing Vanes, they have to realize that these two guys were going to fight each other prior to Saluski choosing to fight Jacobs and Vanes choosing to fight Gennady. It's bigger opportunities for both guys. But he is rated number 1 in WBC. His losses are to the guys that are also claiming the one in the fight Golovkin. Andre put his head in the ring when Canelo fell out. Lara has been asking for Golovkin for how long? Charlo, I don't know if it's if this Charlo has asked for Golovkin, but the other Charlo's been asking for Golovkin. Those are 54-pounders that are asking for Golovkin. So for this guy to step up and want to make the fight in 3.5 weeks, you have to give him a lot of credit. 1, that he took the fight, and 2, that he believes he can win. It's an opportunity to make history.
Thank you, Abel. I just have a question for Gennady also. Gennady, what do you think of Martirosyan, and you tell us maybe what you've seen from some of his fights?
He is a good fighter. I remember him 2004 in Olympic game. I saw a couple of fights. I watched TV, a couple of fights. He looks good. I know his team, very strong team, and his coach has good mix with UFC and boxing. It's good. He has good experience. I believe this is a good show for people and very big fight for us.
What do you think about the size difference, Gennady? He's a little taller than you and may outweigh you in the ring. What are your thoughts on that?
I told you every time, I'm not a big guy for middleweight division. I'm shorter. I think this is not a problem. This is boxing. This is not, just tall weight or everything. I know my style. I know my boxing IQ. I believe it's more stronger. Thanks my team who support me. Thanks my people who help me, who bring this fight. I know my style is much interesting.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Abel, is that a concern, the height, and I assume there's some reach advantage that Vanes has?
No, Gennady likes to chop down trees.
Operator, you have other questions?
All right.
Okay, that's why Abel has no trees left in his driveway. Big bear.
All right, your next question comes from the line of Robert Oden.
Hey, how you fellas doing today?
Hey, Robert.
This question's for Tom. If Triple G is lucky enough to get past Ernest, would you guys look to be going after Billy Joe Saunders and unifying and becoming undisputed, or will you all try the Canelo rematch?
It really depends what happens May 5. I always try to look forward, but these days everything is so convoluted with Canelo's suspension. He says he's ready to fight September 15th. Gennady does have responsibilities for mandatories. It's been his dream to unify the division. We've tried to make the fight with Billy Joe Saunders, a couple of times now. That's how the whole Cal Brook fight came to be, because reached out to Frank Warren, said Triple G is willing to go to Billy Joe Saunders' home country in the UK and fight over there. Unfortunately, at that particular time, we weren't able to make the deal with Saunders. Then it went to Eubank. Then we wound up with Cal Brook. So it's been a dream of Triple G's to unify the division. That last title has been.
Tom?
His line has disconnected.
Hello?
Needs to go charge that phone battery.
Well, I think he was just trying to finish up there on the what could possibly be next. Abel, do you want to chime in on that, or?
Yeah, well, he said he had a question, but I think what's
Abel, in the Canelo fight, we didn't see Triple G go to the body that much. Do you think in this fight we'll see him throwing those liver punches and attacking the body the way we used to do it?
Of course, he's gonna make an attempt to, but if it takes two to tango, and if the guy is running away like Canelo was, it's difficult to land those body shots. He threw a body shot, I think, in the fourth or fifth round, and Kenny admonished him for hitting him in the back. Canelo turned his back while he's running away, and he gets hit with a shot that's already on the way. But Canelo's also known as a body puncher. Canelo didn't throw any body punches, so the styles have to kind of mesh together, and they have to be willing. Two guys have to be willing to make a fight of it. And in that instance, unfortunately, Canelo fought completely different. He had fought 40 sometimes before.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, fellas.
I think we're about to wrap this up, but Abel, you brought up something about Danny Jacobs, and I just wanted to get your observation. Have you noticed any difference in Jacobs from before the fight with Gennady and the two fights we've seen since he's fought Gennady?
You know, it's not only Jacobs. If you go back to Lemieux, to Curtis Stevens, to Wade, to Willie Monroe, they're never the same. They're never the same after they go rounds. Murray also, the young man from from England, has never been the same since Gennady fought him. Danny Jacobs was supposed to demolish Luis Arias and have a difficult time with him in his first fight after Gennady, and now in this fight against Luski, he looks terrible. He gets hit with everything in the book, and but it's the reason being, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of our team, is that once you go 12 rounds with Golovkin, you're never going to be the same.
Gotcha. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Just a reminder for those in the LA area tomorrow, we've got the undercard media workouts at Wildcard West in Santa Monica beginning at 11:30. Both Cecilia and Callie will be there, as well as Ryan Martin and Breeze Prescott. Starts at 11:30. Abel, any last comments before we say goodbye?
Yeah, thank you to all the media that has been online and has been listening and has asked questions. We look forward to a great night on the 5th. It's another great fighter showcasing his skills for his fans and in a venue that is there's not a bad seat in the house. So it's the kind of fights, not because of Gennady, but because of a bad test by an opponent that we are forced to do on a short notice. But the response has been great, not only from you guys, but from the fans. So hopefully everybody shows up and supports, and we can continue to come back to StubHub.
Gennady, we want to congratulate you again and thank you for bringing boxing, saving boxing for Cinco de Mayo. What makes you the Cinco de Mayor, and look forward to seeing you.
I got it. Thank you. Thanks all people and also support boxing. Not me, boxing. It's more important.
Well, we appreciate that. And just a reminder, folks, if you can't make it to StubHub, it will be seen live on HBO at 11 p.m. East Coast, as well as tape delay on the West Coast. And we will be opening up with the historic first time women's boxing has ever been televised live on HBO World Championship Boxing, with Cecilia Brækhus making another title defense in the long line of title defenses she's held for over 9 years. Tom, are you back on the call?
I'm back on.
Okay, Tom, you want to make any concluding comments before we say goodbye?
Yeah. As many things that have changed on this date, it's no surprise that there was technical difficulty, but we're just excited to have these guys on, these two true professionals. One guy who's making a record tying attempt at a 20th defense in the middleweight division. Another guy who's young, hungry, and wants one of the biggest opportunities in the sport of boxing to collect multiple world titles in one fight. So, as you alluded to, Fred, we have the best male boxer in the sport, the best female boxer in the sport, all on the same HBO. There's a tremendous undercard for the fans, which will be officially announced later today. We made some more $100 tickets available for the fans. They're just released today, so we're excited. The Tecate Fan Fest again starts at 3 o'clock today. On Saturday, 3 to 7 p.m.
Saturday, don't go out there now.
Not today. Saturday on Cinco de Mayo, but it's going to be a great weekend. Golden Boy's doing the show on Friday night, so it's going to be a huge boxing weekend in LA at the StubHub Center.
and we're looking forward to a great treat for the fans.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you coming on the call today. We will have a transcript out hopefully by late tonight, tomorrow morning, and we hope to see you out here in the next few days. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's call. You may now disconnect.
All right, so yeah, that's everything. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll put up kind of some highlight clips and stuff like that. But like I said, subscribe to the channel. Click the bell button because all week I'm going to be going live. So media workout tomorrow, press conference Thursday or Wednesday. Ryan's weigh in on Thursday for sure, and Friday the weigh in. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot. Bye.